Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Unfortunately, these days we don't repeat this enough, or we don't have this aqidah concept firm in our minds that Islam did not come to coexist. Islam Islam la yu'la. Al-Islam ya'lu wa la yu'la alayh. Islam is raised high and nothing is raised above Islam. We can't think of Islam that it came to live with these other religions, in the sense that Islam is a religion amongst those religions, and they have a share with the truth, and they have a share of justice, and they have a share of, this worship of Allah, the correct worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Islam came to correct all of that. Islam came to remove the oppression of all those religions, and it is the only truth, and it is the only way to justice.
Hi everyone, Patrick here. And what you heard right there was Palestinian Islamic scholar Mohammed Nasariat in Chicago talking about what Islam is doing here in America. Oh yeah. Hi everyone, class is in session today. Joe is out. He's at a speaking engagement for the governorship of Colorado. He will be back in chair tomorrow with an awesome guest. And yes, Jeff, I mean Joe and a guest, not me trying to tease you to come in tomorrow and me be in the chair. No, plan is Joe in chair tomorrow with an awesome guest, just so you guys know that. I read comments. I usually stay up to speed on what goes on in the Rumble chat. So, yep, just so you guys know, Joe is scheduled to be in chair tomorrow with an awesome guest that you've seen before and you all love, because this guy brings fire. So there's your little hint/teaser for tomorrow. Back to today's show. That's what's going on in America. That is a silent war that is going on, right? It's the infiltration of America. It's happening, right? We did it through the open borders, but now this infiltration is happening a little bit differently, a lot through the H-1B1 visa process, also through the illegal immigration that took place under Biden. These people have come in and now are entrenched and have not been removed yet, right? And they're creating their conclaves here in America, where they are looking to impose their dominance. And you heard it from this gentleman himself, from Muhammad himself, right? We don't basically live with other religions. We're superior. We're not here to coexist. We're higher than others. Our religion is better than the rest of yours. And they're here to promote that type of mindset here in America. And us as Americans, we're at fault for this. We're at fault for this. A lot of it because for a long time we were caught off guard. That if we resisted anything differently to the American way of life, Christianity, speaking English, assimilating to American culture, you were a racist. You were branded a racist for a while. And Americans didn't know how to deal with that. So they kind of retreated and sunk back in and kind of, okay, maybe I am, maybe I am, maybe I am, maybe we should. Maybe this thing of inclusivity is a good thing. Maybe this multiculturalism and bringing in all these other people from different parts of the world, regardless or not if they want to be here in America because they love America or because they want to be in America to destroy America, or they want to be in America to take advantage of America. All that stuff doesn't matter. We just need to just make sure we have all different types of color and religion all together here in this country, because that's what's best and that's what happened to us. And us as Americans, the ones that were here while this was happening, kind of just let it happen because we didn't know how to resist and we didn't actually understand what was occurring to us, which is basically the domination of America by our own political elites through this process. Like, that's what's happening here in America. It's took me a while to understand that, but it is blatantly happening here. And yeah, we get our deportations, this, that, criminal, illegal aliens, this, that, and the other thing, right? But that's a small snippet of what has been brought into America over the past 4 years under a Biden, but also under Obama. And if you go back even a little bit under Clinton, Bush as well, that all these things were occurring. And we just allowed it. And now it's just building momentum. And now, poof, it's here, where you have majority Muslim communities in the state of Texas. You have a Muslim mayor in New York City. right? These aren't isolated incidents. Like, it is happening. You have mosques being built throughout this country. You have Muslim organizations building up, buying up abandoned churches, and then turning those churches into Islamic strongholds and centers of their community. The face of America is changing more rapidly than I'd like to admit, but it really is. And you have this specific group of people, these Muslims that are coming into America that don't want to assimilate, that don't want to be here for American values, but actually what they want to do is actually beat down America and conquer America from within. And if you've been paying attention to our specials that we've been doing with B, we have shown this and how it works with these NGOs and these other individuals that are funding this mass migration into America. And then, you know, they came over illegally, and now you have the visas and refugee status, asylum seekers, right? Throw all these different names around and all these other different things, and you get a mass, millions of people coming into America. It's like the Wild Wild West. And here we are as Americans living with this every day. And let's be honest, there's different reasons why people came to this country. Okay, we have seen that play out over the past couple of years. Some people come here to work for a better life. But sadly, I believe less and less of that is true. Majority of what I'm starting to see coming here are people that come to America to take advantage of the system, commit fraud, collect entitlements, and then when they get that stuff, send a portion of that money back to their home country. Not even keep it here, not even spend it a month, right? They actually take that money and then head it back, right? And that's American taxpayers' money, because we're giving all this stuff out to these people in forms of entitlements. So that's our American taxpayer dollar that goes to them. And then some of that money then goes back over, right? And we saw that with the Al-Shabaab funding going back over from Minnesota's fraud, right? They're legitimately funding terrorist organization with our own money. And yet there's still no massive arrest. So go figure. Right? And then there's another group of people that come here to America, right? And honestly, this is a part of it, the Islamification of America, where they come here to America with the sole purpose of spreading their faith, religion, and conquering America from the inside. They tried dominating America, tried killing America. Remember the plane attacks, September 11th, right? The Muslim attack on America, the Islamic attack on America. Wasn't successful. So you need to go back to the drawing board. How else can we fight America? How else can we defeat America? Well, align yourself with the communists, and here you are. The infiltration of America, right? All these different arms working against each other. And a lot of this is being done by our politicians. Now, whether our politicians are doing this because they're financially benefiting from it, probably. Are they just willful ignorance? Yeah. Why? Because they're benefiting from it personally, either getting board appointments, getting contracts, getting kickbacks, getting their family members on other boards, right? The gravy train, gravy train. And who gets sold out for all this? The American people. Who gets put in a more difficult spot? The American people. Because special interests dominate what goes on in America. The American people don't. What the American people want is irrelevant. What matters most to our people in charge is what's lining their pocketbooks and how can they cement themselves and their family members for a better future for themselves, not what's better for the American people. But with that being said, if they actually took at and looked at what I could do for the American people and benefit the American people, they themselves would benefit as well. But the problem is you don't want everyone to benefit. You need to be part of that have and have not group. And that's what we're seeing firsthand, right? These politicians don't want to make America better for themselves. They want to make it better. I'm sorry, they don't want to make America better for us. They want to make America better for themselves. And what that looks like for them is entrenching themselves with money, pushing their ideological nonsense, creating mass chaos, all while they create their wealth and pass down their livelihoods and their money incomes to their generations, that they're not going to have to deal with what actually goes down on the ground level, right? More and more, it seems like America is just in a world of hurt. And the more we got to talk about, the more we have to unpack it, the more we need to understand it, and the more we have to fight back and push back against it, right? And we're talking about the Islamification of our society, but we're also, right, this month, I believe it's Ramadan month. Now, if you're listening and you have students in the public school system, I want you to do yourselves a favor. Ask your kids what your school is doing for Ramadan. Because most schools are actually setting up prayer locations for Muslim students within their schools so that they could practice their faith. I thought that was a huge no-no. I thought separation of church and state was a real thing and you had to abide by that. But then I started to work out here in Colorado. And then I started to see what happens during Ramadan month when Muslim students are allowed to miss class to go pray in different areas of the school, auditorium, counselor's office, conference room, what have you, but you're not allowed in there to watch what happens because, you know, you're not practicing the faith with them. So those kids are actually allowed to have areas of the building unsupervised to practice their faith. But yet a teacher cannot hang a cross in their room. But yet a teacher cannot have a Christmas tree in their room to celebrate Christmas. Why? Because it's the destruction of the Christian faith and the destruction of American values, what the school system wants. Right? It's a whole concept of indoctrination. You beat down the Christian teachers that are still there while still promoting religious beliefs for your Muslim students. How is that appropriate? How is that fair? I'll tell you how it's fair. The school districts don't care. And school boards say, basically, in the name of inclusivity, we need to give these spaces for our Muslim students. And then you as a white teacher or a Christian teacher that is looking to promote your faith, even though you're not praying, but you're going to hang a cross in your room. Nope, because you're going to make some kids feel unsafe with that in your room. Not welcomed. And that's the language they use. Tell me I'm wrong. Any that works in school districts, tell me I'm wrong. Anyone that works with kids and in schools, tell me I'm wrong. That is the language they will use. That's going to be considered offensive. The cross, Jesus nailed to the cross, is going to be considered offensive to a Muslim student coming into your room. Therefore, your cross needs to come down. In the same time, we need to make sure we provide safe spaces and prayer spaces for our Muslim populations during Ramadan so that they feel more welcome into the school system. How does that make sense? It doesn't, but that's the thing. Logic and rationale does not exist with a communist agenda, but that's what they keep pushing. And if you don't believe me with all this, what I'm saying about the Islamification of our society and in our school system, listen to this clip from this father out of Wiley, Texas, about what's going on down there. Texas. Play it.
America is a Christian nation.
Amen.
The principal, 1 year ago, the principal on the same day, World Hijab Day, wore that hijab and said she loved it, all caps. 1 year to the day later, on World Hijab Day, Sunday, Monday hits, they're putting our girls in Sharia. They're passing out Sharia pamphlets, hijabs, Qurans, understanding Islam. Understanding Sharia. Sharia treats half of this room like and these women are not. This is not a Muslim nation. This is a Christian nation. That principal knew what she was doing, and I am not believing that was one or two people at that front desk. Fired the principal. You tell the parents, don't go online to get information, but what did they get online? Marco told the truth. That's where they got the information, and you did. Online. Telling us not to go there. This was dawah. Muslim proselytizing, dawah. It's like me as a Christian going into a school and witnessing to these kids. You want me to do that? Let's go.
That gentleman is 100% right. That's taking place in Wiley Independent School District down in Texas. And yeah, 2 years in a row. 1 year was Hijab Day, where they handed out hijabs to students coming in. And then this most recent trip through, they were talking about the Quran and handing out Qurans and hijabs and pamphlets about Sharia law during World Hijab Day. That is happening in Texas. Now, that gentleman, great job standing up. But what he's going to happen to him is he's going to be labeled a misogynist, Islamophobe, racist, because he's speaking passionately. And that's what happens with us Christians. This is what happens with us white Americans, is that we express ourselves because we're frustrated, angry, and we speak with our emotion. Now, everything he said was great, but I guarantee it's all going to fall on deaf ears because they're going to say angry white guy, kind of like what they say about me on TV sometimes. We're not angry white guys. We're passionate. We feel it. We're tired of seeing it. And then when we stand up for ourselves, we're told, no, you're racist, go sit back down. Right? It's a never-ending cycle. But that's going on in Texas, where they're passing this stuff out to kids as they go into school. But once again, separation of church and state doesn't exist here. No, it only exists if it's a Christian faith. Right? You can't have the 10 Commandments on the walls in the schools anymore. They used to do that way back in the early 1900s. They used to have the 10 Commandments, right? Even if you were a kid in class dozing off, you would actually look up and read and still learn something. But you can't have that in there because that's oppressive. You're forcing your religion on kids. You're having your cross hung up. You're forcing religion on kids. You're worshiping Christ's birthday, right? But yet Muslim faith can do all this in our school system, and there's nothing about separation of church and state there. Tells you all you need to know. Tells you all you need to know. And the Muslims don't hide what they're doing, right? Now that they're here and they're unified and they have some political capital, some cities are in control, some local city councils are under Muslim control. They're flexing. They're going out in public and letting you know, right? A couple months ago, we showed you a clip down in Texas that you had an imam walking around to local stores saying you can't sell alcohol or meat because it's against the Islamic faith, right? They're out there flexing. Well, they're also flexing in New York City. Here's a clip from a couple months ago of Muslim prayer in Times Square.
هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان ومن دونهما جنتان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان.
Totally normal, looks like Mecca, but that's Times Square, New York City. Actually, they don't even do that in Mecca. Muslims typically don't pray outside in their home countries. They typically go to the mosque and keep it inside, which I find funny that they're actually doing this here in America. Why? Because they're exerting their dominance. They're seeing how much we're willing to take as Americans. Imagine if you had thousands of Christians show up for a call to prayer action in Times Square. You know how fast that would be shut down? You know how fast that'd be shut down as a symbol of hate and oppression? But that's supposed to be celebrated and encouraged. Why? Because it's part of the political game that's being played here in America. They have mosques. They can go pray at their mosques. Just like they say we have churches, we need to go out churches. Jews have synagogues, they need to go to their synagogues. But yet the Muslims can go out there in public and flex. And if you haven't been paying attention, they've been doing this in Europe for a while now. They've taken over churches, outside of churches, and done this as a symbol of we are here. We are not going anywhere. We are conquering you. There's also videos, if you scour the internet, of hundreds of Islamic men all throughout European cities at their gatherings beating their chest with no shirts on. Right? That's another form of intimidation. They're saying it's their culture, it's their prayer. No, it's another form of their intimidation because you don't see this stuff happening in Middle Eastern countries. They know exactly what they're doing here to us Americans, and us Americans continuously allow this to happen. Our leaders allow this to happen. Our leaders allow this to happen either selectively or not selectively, either by willful incompetence or just turning a blind eye. They're allowing these things to happen over and over again, and the face of America continuously is changing. And us as Americans are told, shut up. This is where we're going. Too bad. Mind you, this is while we have a Republican president, a Republican Congress, and control over the Supreme Court. Can you imagine what it will look like when we don't have those things anymore? What is that going to look like? How more of these things will occur? How much more of this Islamification of America is going to take place? And I'm not making this up. Okay, we're going to play a clip now. This is a woman reporting out of Texas of what she's noticed about the H-1B approvals, right? And you have, here's a name that you should pay attention to because it's an attorney down in Dallas, Texas, that has brought in, I believe, 1.1 million H-1B visa applicants. 1.1 million. From 2024 and 2025, this one lawyer alone has approved that many of them. Check this out.
Remember this map that shows a significantly larger amount of H-1B visas here in Texas than anywhere else in the country? Well, this is Chand Paravantanini. He's an immigration lawyer here in Dallas, Texas, and as of 2024 has approved over 400,000 H-1B visa applicants, and as of 2025 has approved over 700,000 H-1B applicants in Texas. Now, you're probably asking yourself, where do these people work? Do they work at places like this? cute little 4-bedroom, 3-bath houses that are registered to 66 H-1B applicants. They apparently run a tech company out of this house. This isn't just happening in Irving. It's happening in Irving, Plano, Las Colinas, Frisco, McKinney, Prosper, and more. Because North Texas has been completely overrun and overtaken by both Muslims and Indians. I passed my first mosque the other day. That was interesting. And you'll be glad to know that there's over 67 of them in the North Texas area. You gotta ask yourself, how many fraudulent businesses are you walking past? Because they receive government funding. And do you want to know where that government funding comes from? Your tax dollars. Every time you go to work, money gets taken out of your paycheck, it goes to them.
So how about that? A lot of that's not being discussed, not being out there in the public. Good for her for making that video. But it's true, right? She said 66 H-1B visas are registered to that 1 4-bedroom house. How's that possible? Scheming, fraud, scamming the system. And this lawyer in Texas by the name of Chand Pavatanei is responsible for this. So this dude has approved 1.1 million H-1B visas to come into the Texas area. Huh. Sounds like they're making a fraud. Sounds very similar to what was uncovered with the Somali daycare operation in Minnesota. And this is going on in Texas. So you have a different type of group now coming in to America, the Muslims, that are looking to take over. And we have our own people inside. This lawyer here is willing to just rubber stamp these applications to get them in. I'm sure all these people come in here because they want to do well. They want to live the American dream. They want to assimilate to American culture. I'm sure all that's happening. I'm sure all that's happening. And who's overseeing all this? Is there anyone caring to, check out these processes, make sure everything's on the up and up, get these people out that don't belong here? But see, that's what they did under Biden. Dude, they just flooded the system. That was the playbook under the Biden administration, was just flood this system over and over. Millions and millions and millions of people come in. Yeah, you get a couple 100,000. I got 8 million in reserve over here. They didn't care. That's why they just busted the border open. That's why I remember that video. I remember early on in the Biden administration, maybe 6 months in, Governor Abbott said, "What the hell are we doing here?" He tried building a razor wire fence to prevent, and it didn't make its way through the courts yet, but he was trying to prevent the flow of illegal immigrants just coming across the Rio Grande. And what did Mayorkas and Biden do, those traitors? They brought heavy machinery equipment down there, and they actually tore those barricades down. I remember watching that on TV. They legitimately tore those barricades down. So you had a governor trying to stop massive amounts of illegal immigrants coming into his own country, his own state, our country. And then those in charge said, nope, they all got to come in. There had to be a reason behind it. It was to flood the system and break the system. And now Trump's trying to clean it up, and it's out of control. It's just out of control. Do they have enough personnel? Do they have enough lawyers? Do they have enough investigators, right? Because you have the fraud in Minneapolis, Texas, California, New York, Oregon, Illinois, right? You go all over the place. Just simply, they busted the system. And they did it on purpose. Willful ignorance. They busted the system to make us Americans suffer from all this. That's what's going on. And that's just one spigot of it. That's just one spigot of it, right? Illegal immigration, one spigot of it. Islamification of America, another spigot of it. You have another spigot we're fighting right now, which is the trans fight. 2026, we're supposed to be well-educated, use our reasoning skills. We're supposed to be a rational society. And somehow we're still here figuring out if boys should play against girls should play against boys should be allowed in girls' bathrooms, all this and all that. You know, can the state take your kid away if you don't want to affirm that your kid's being a boy or a girl? All that stuff's happening on, right? There's states that are looking to pass laws on the books to take your kid away if you don't affirm their gender identity. We don't allow kids to buy alcohol till 21, smoke till 21, vote till 18, sign up to go to war to 18, drive a car at 15, 16. But yes, someone that's 70 years old can say, no, mommy, I'm a girl. I have a penis, but I'm a girl. And we actually promote that here in America. That is lunacy. That is crimes against children. We are not protecting our children here in America. We're not. We're actually hanging out kids out to dry in the name of special interest, in the name of gender affirming care, instead of actually calling it what it is, which is gender dysphoria, and in which case 40% of all trans people either self-harm or commit suicide. We heard that from a trans person on this show yesterday when they were addressing the FDNY during training, but yet we have to cater to people that will, one out of two, all right, it's not 1 out of 2, but, you know, kind of close enough. You know, 40%, that's a big freaking number. But we have to cater to that percentage of the American populace and give them what they want. Well, check out what's going on in Iceland. We don't talk a lot about international things, but this story should shake you to the core. This happened in Iceland to the father. His name is Alexandre Rocha. Listen to his story.
My name is Alexander, a father living in Iceland, Reykjavik. And last December, by the decision of the court, my son was taken away from me. The reason? Because I did not want to allow my son to undergo a gender transition and identify as a girl at the only age of 10. As a father, I do not want to see happen to my child who was already diagnosed on the autism spectrum. I believe that my child should not be exposed to life-altering procedures such as puberty blockers or hormone therapy. These things will alter drastically his body, but also his mind. I have not been able to see my son in months, and my family is absolutely devastated, as you can imagine. Because of this, I'm not able to be the parent that I know I am. Today, I'm fighting to appeal this court decision and win back my child. No parent should go through this. Children deserve to live free from radical gender ideology which pressure them to make life decisions they don't even understand yet. Thank you for listening to my story, and bless you.
My heart breaks for that guy. His child has autism as well. So there's a disability there. And the state knows better than this father does. This is Iceland. They took his kid from him. He has to go and appeal the state in the court. Do you really think this guy has a chance? I hope he does, but I doubt it. Because we see what this ideology does. We see what's the purpose of this. The purpose is now this father is the sacrificial lamb in Iceland. This is going to be the father that every other parent is going to think about when their kid starts questioning their gender. They're going to say, what am I going to do here? I have to affirm this, otherwise I'm going to be Alexander. Right? It is so sad. And all parents should be allowed to raise their children as they see fit. Who is the state to determine how you raise your child? Are you equating not affirming a child's gender to beating and starving a child? Because that's a reason why you should take a child away from a parent. You know, you're physically beating the kid, you're starving him in inhumane living conditions, which does happen here. I'm sorry to say that. It does happen. I've seen it happen to kids in the system. It's a real thing. That doesn't get talked about enough also here in America, but that's a real thing. But now that also means I have to affirm my 8-year-old kid, 7-year-old kid who has autism, or 10, I don't know how old the child was, but I have to affirm what their gender, what they want to identify as, otherwise I risk losing them forever. Where's your right as a parent to raise your kid the way you see fit? It's being stripped away, and that's in Iceland, and that's coming here in America. Colorado has laws, has bills looking to do this. California has bills looking to do this. Oregon, Illinois, they're out there. No state officially has this on the books yet, to my knowledge, but there are bills making their way through the state house. Of course, they're making its way through the state house now because we have Trump in charge. So you have the radicals that want to Trump-proof themselves from Trump's policies. So once again, who are the states to say they know better on how to raise someone's child? They're the ones who say they do, so therefore, all hail. You guys are in charge. We do what you tell us to do every day. Yeah, that's the politics of transgenderism. And then you also get the spillover into the school systems with transgenderism, right? We've shown it on the show already. The mixing of these male against females is not appropriate. It's wrong. We all know it's wrong. It's unacceptable. But yet somehow we're still here talking about this all the time. We're here debating this all the time. Why? Because you get people like this that are in charge of the National Educators Association who approve of gender-affirming care. Here's Becky Pringle, head of the National Educators Association, the largest teachers union in America.
Depending on us, rise up! NEA, hold on! Hold on! Don't let go of anyone's hand!
There you go. You have a crazed lunatic just screaming at the top of her lungs about whatever the hell she's talking about up there at that point in time. Like, she is a moron. Okay, but she aligns with gender-affirming care. She is anti anything that President Trump or the Republicans want to do in education. Fine, so be it. But if you actually take a look at like Democratic states or performances in deep blue city and deep blue states, they don't do well educationally for the most part. Out here in Colorado, the Dems have dominated education and dominated state house for 20 years. The education out here is in the toilet. Reading, math scores below 50%. Same thing in California. Same thing in Illinois. Right? Like hard blue states for a long time, their education systems, pretty much all of them, suck. Why? Because they don't promote education. They promote political ideologies. Transgenderism, hate America, DEI, critical race theory. That's what embodies the education system on a national level here in America, and it's through organizations like the NEA. Those people are in charge of the teachers' unions here in America. What do you think you get from the teachers' unions? Same shit. What do you get from the school board? Same thing, right? The education is severely slanted, one-sided, all throughout, right? Left-leaning, hard body. And yet, white conservatives are the problem in the education system, even though the education system has been dominated by left liberals for at least a generation. But if you actually speak this way and say this way with factual tones and actually have discourse with them, I guarantee Becky Pringle would drop to the floor and start screaming and call me a white supremacist because I'm hitting her with facts, not emotion. This is the ridiculousness that goes on in our school system, and we wonder why our kids are struggling. We wonder why our kids don't know what truth is. We wonder why our kids don't know how to read or write, right? Honestly, some of that has to do with bad parenting, but the school system is not helping the bad parents. They're actually making those kids that are coming from bad parents in a worse spot. And they're actually taking kids that are coming from good households and turning them upside down as well. The school system is completely off the rails. And we had the ICE protest. We still have ICE protests going on throughout the country. School districts allowing kids walk out, protest here, vandalize that business here, stop traffic here. Well, there's another layer now coming to to these ICE protests and these ICE walkouts. There's another layer that's coming, that's happening. Watch this clip first.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Nah! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh damn! Oh shit! Oh shit! Hold on, hold on. Oh fuck! Oh fuck!
That's out of Kansas, Olaf, Kansas. I don't know if you were able to piece all that together, but what's starting to happen now is you have pro-America, pro-ICE Trump supporters that are students that are getting tired of seeing these ICE protests, and they are silently having their own protests when the ICE protests are occurring. They're making their own signs like, hey, ICE is good, we love ICE. Those students got the hell beat out of them by their fellow students that were doing the walkout. So now what you have going on in the school system is you have students being targeted for their political beliefs. That's where we are. And why is that happening? Because of the rhetoric and what gets preached to the kids in the school system, from the school teachers to the school administrators to the school boards to the NEA presidents, to the NEA president. It's okay to punch a Trump supporter. It's okay to get in their face. And now what you had two students basically jumped by a whole group of other students that said, basically, screw you. You like America? We don't. And they just beat the hell out of them. While mind you, there was no school supervision, no help, no nothing for anybody. Eventually, people in the vest show up. It looked like the school was across the street. But yeah, that went on for a little bit. Now, my question is there going to be discipline from those kids? Is there going to be discipline for the kids that assaulted the pro-Trump guys, the pro-ICE guys? Or are the pro-ICE guys going to be suspended because they're agitators, because they weren't going along with the crew, right? I could see a school district doing either one here. I could see a school district doing either one here. What I do know is those kids that got jumped, they need to contact the police, and every one of those kids that swung on them and beat them need to be arrested and charged, because that's the only way this stuff stops. Examples need to be made. That stuff is not appropriate. It is not acceptable for that to occur in the school system. But our kids are acting that way because no one's being the adult in the room in the school system and saying, nope, this is about education. No. Why? Because you have losers and herbs in charge of the school system who want the affirmation from the kids, because they need to feel special in their loser lives. So they need the kids to affirm that they're doing a good job. Even though the kids really don't care a whole lot about the movement, what the kids really care about is, I get to miss class now. I get to dick around for a couple hours. Because if the kids really cared about this, they would organize on their own and protest Saturday, Sunday, in the afternoons after school, before school, organize a march, right? But the kids won't do that. They don't want to do that. They just want to be able to miss a couple of hours of school during the school day. And that's what the teachers' unions and these school districts and these school boards are allowing and encouraging to happen, because at the end of the day, they want uninformed, ignorant populace in front of them. And this is what would happen. That should be considered a hate crime. Imagine if the Trump students beat up the other students, right? If they jumped the anti-ICE protest, what would happen? Right? Always look at it with the shoe on the other foot. The what ifs. What's going to look like this way if it did it this way, right? And 99% of the time when you apply the same logic to the other side, nothing will happen. So therefore, what's going on is complete bullshit, and it needs to stop. Because if the white kids were going to do it, they would get called out, labeled racist, and they'll be probably put up for expulsion. So we need to actually total line and call it even across the board, but we don't, right? So now what it does, it creates more chaos, divides people into more of their political corners, and allows the separation to occur, right? And that's not just an isolated beating. There was another one that took place out in Burlington, Washington. We're going to go to 9, Damon, sorry. Out of Burlington, Washington. Take a look at this clip out of a middle school girls' locker room. So yeah. So that came out of Burlington, Washington, and allegedly what there was, 2 girls were beating another student who refused to tell them if they supported Trump or ICE. Why is this going on in schools? Because it's become an issue amongst the kids, because the adults have made it an issue amongst the kids. And now what you get is you're going to get violence in the schools between Trump supporters and non-Trump supporters. You're going to get pro-ICE against anti-ICE. But what you're going to start seeing as the common thread here is that you're going to see the anti-ICE, anti-Trump side will be the aggressors and be the ones that are beating the pro-Trump, pro-ICE side. I guarantee, we go through 10 of these incidents, I guarantee 9 out of 10 will be that way, if not 10 out of 10. Why? Because that side promotes violence. That side enables violence. That side rewards violence. And us as the other side, we continuously take it over and over and over again because we have morals and we care and we just do, because we don't believe in resorting to this type of violence. But eventually push is going to come to shove and the violence is going to beget violence. Kids are going to be standing up for each other, and you're going to get throwdowns in schools. If schools don't get their arms around this right away and knock off this political bullshit that's going on in the school systems, you're going to get more of this. You're going to get more of this, and they're going to get worse. And then eventually you're going to get parents going at it. Someone needs to be the adult in the room and remove the political garbage from our schools and restore order to our schools so that the kids can learn to read and write. Period. So you got the Muslim infiltration going on. You have the indoctrination of the schools going on. And then you also got to deal with the mental illness that comes with the left. It's a forever ending thing. Check out this cut from a trans activist.
I think we should start killing kids until they let us use whatever bathroom they want.
Do you hear that, sick bastard? Do you hear the sickos in the audience that are cheering? If that fat bastard didn't realize, that's been going on for a couple of years now. It's a trend from the trans community that they will target and shoot kids. That's not something to joke about, but they're willing to joke about it. The 40% that are willing to kill and hurt themselves think they have the moral high ground here to say we will kill kids if we can't use the right bathroom. What sane world are we living in? What sane world are we living in? What sane world do we allow that to be said? What sane world do we allow boys to compete against girls in middle school and high school? What sane world do we allow grown men to go into restrooms with grown women? In what world is this sane? That's not a joke. He means that. I wouldn't be surprised in 3 to 5 years down the road, you'll see him being perp walked for shooting kids. Because they're prone to violence, because they have mental disorders that actually don't get treated, they get affirmed. So they get to believe, they keep believing what they want to believe, and they believe that it's true. And therefore they can act on that truth. All done on purpose. And if we're going to talk about trannies and trannies competing against boys competing against girls in sports in high school, I got a real simple solution for everybody. I got a real simple solution to make sure boys compete against boys and girls compete against girls. And the trans don't get offended. Ready for this? Every state create a trans athlete category and let them compete against each other. Let every tranny in the state of Colorado in the high school level, because we allow in high school, you could have hell in 8th grade on a varsity sport, 8th through 12th grade. If you're a tranny and you want to compete in wrestling, sign up and you compete in the statewide district tournament for trannies. Same thing with softball. Oh, there's not enough? Well, then I guess we don't field a team. Or if you want to do cross-country, track and field, statewide competition, one pool for your trans athletes. You allow the girls that want to be girls to play their sport. You allow the boys that want to be boys to play their sport. And you allow the ones that have the mental disorder to play against each other that way as well. Everyone wins. Has anyone ever proposed that as a solution? I don't know if I've heard that or not. Maybe I haven't. I'm just bringing it. I don't really think I've heard it. But if states really care about trans rights and at the same time you want to protect women, this is your only solution. You create one category throughout your entire state, and that's your tranny category in the high school level. And I guarantee you, you'll get public support for this. The people would say, all right, I'm down for you to use my taxpayers to have this, as long as you keep this shit out of the sports that my kids are playing. And you allow the ones with the mental disorder to compete against each other, that's fine. I guarantee the majority of Americans will actually promote that. So that's my answer to fix the training and sports competition. Just create its own pool. Oh, well, it's not enough. Well, then find a different sport or just give it up. But this is the solution here. Instead of subjecting our women to the treatment that they're getting in these sports competitions, being sexually assaulted and abused by stronger men. Sorry, that's the truth. It's got to stop. So that's the solution. Categorize them, one category, statewide, right? Hey, if you got to travel 5 hours, that's fine. Well, hell, dude, the taxpayers will pay for a coach bus to make sure that kid gets there comfortably, just so it's not competing against another female athlete. And I bet you have that go on for a couple months. I bet you everyone will stop doing this stuff because, oh, it's not fun anymore. It's not cool. I don't like this. The people I'm competing against are weird. Watch that happen. But that's the solution. Keep girls safe, keep boys safe, let the mentally disturbed play with the mentally disturbed, and call yourself a day. You call it the Gender Dysphoria Club. That's it. And you let them compete against each other throughout the state. And then you let state champs play against the state champs, right? And stream it on TV. It may become a thing. But you'll never get traction if you keep putting men against women. You'll never get traction if you won't admit to it, the fact that male athletes that choose to compete against women athletes are just weaker individuals. Because they know they're not good as a man athlete. And that's the truth of it. Take a look at the swimmer, Leah Thompson, right? Like one of the worst D1 swimmers of the year, right? Finished like 240 something at the University of Penn before he decided to transition, and then he became the top-notch swimmer, right? Riley Gaines' natural-born enemy, rightfully so, because she was definitely the best female swimmer. But she lost out because of this dude. Dude with a penis. Right? There's no way that should be happening. There's no way men should be competing against women. And then if it really was a serious issue, how come we once again don't see women wanting to sign up to play in men's sports and identify as a man? Why doesn't the train go the other way? We've seen it, right? Do we see it? Do we see a whole bunch of it? We've seen the women sign up to become men? I don't think so. Because they know. We all know. But yet, one political party keeps pushing this down everyone's throats here because they want chaos. They want disorder. They want violence. They want to keep pushing outside to act irrationally and to act in a fit of rage and a fit of motion. And then boom, they got their next news cycle and their next hit piece, right? They're good at this. They want to do this, right? That's why they kept doing what they were doing on the streets in Minnesota to the ICE agents, because you keep putting people in those heightened situations, right? Someone's going to act wrong. Someone's going to act out of line. And there you got your news story. You got your media clip. You got them, right? And that's what they do with the women and men's sports. They're waiting for a parent to run onto a court and assault a child. They're waiting for that. That's why they keep putting our young ladies in these spots, because they want to force that pressure cooker to pop so that they could then shove more of their radical agenda down our throat. That's what they do here. And then you get a couple of these social media profiles, political commentators going out there. You got to listen to Simone Sanders. Anyone know who Simone Sanders was? She used to work for the Bernie Sanders campaign. She worked in Biden's White House recently. She was just on with Joe Scarborough, and they're talking about police and making streets safe. Let's see how this question goes.
You don't think more police make streets safer? No, Joe, I'm a black woman in America. I do not always think that more police make streets safer. When you walk down the streets of Georgetown, you don't see a police officer on every corner, but you don't feel unsafe. So what is it about talking about places like Southeast DC, right? Ward 8, if you will, that people say, well, we need more officers to make us safe. I think we have to rethink what safety means in America.
So yeah, what does safety look like in America? Let's see. Back under the Biden administration, let anyone in. You let criminals rape, pillage, and then re-release them onto the streets. That's why Trump overwhelmingly had the support of the American people, because we wanted a safe society. This moron thinks that less cops on the streets means public safety improves. If she hasn't been paying attention over the past 13, 14 months, it does make a difference. It does make a difference. And she's talking about going down to Georgetown's a wealthy, affluent area. Crime doesn't really happen there. You go to Ward 6, poor. Crime does happen there. You need to put deterrence out. And you also need to offer pathways. And she talks about we need to really think about, well, they were in charge the previous 4 years. And before that, they were in charge 8 out of the previous 12. What were their solutions? Nothing. There's no solutions to anything. White man bad was the solution. One of the best race baiters of ever, Obama. Communist in disguise. You know, they didn't do anything. What they do for crime? What they do to address crime? What they do to open up educational pathways and opportunities for people to make a living from? They didn't. So don't give me that bullshit, all those liars. But, you know, she goes out there, she says a soundbite, gives it to the Nimrods down below that watch Joe Scarborough still, and they get their fix for the day. They get their dopamine hit. Bang! Not thinking about the rationale, not thinking about what life was like under the Biden administration. None of that. None of that. And yet they never offer the alternative. What does it need to look like? They don't offer any of that because there is no solution. There is no really good answer to make streets safer other than to give people economic opportunity. Give them an opportunity to make a better life for themselves. Give them an education or an opportunity to an education. Opportunity to feel safe. Opportunity to work their way up in the system. Right? I've been taught my whole life, especially when I took on the role as a dean, like kids need to feel safe in order to learn. And I took that to heart because I was in charge of school safety. Well, apply that same logic to the community. How can a community thrive if they don't feel safe? How do you make a community safe? You protect it. You eliminate the threats. You build zones where kids can go to learn and improve their way of life. Improve literacy, improve mathematics, pursue a passion. But the school systems in these communities are trash. So there is no real chance for improvement. And it becomes an endless cycle. Generational poverty. But she won't understand that. She doesn't get that. She has no clue how the real world works. None of them do on the up top. She has no clue. And then you got Eric Swalwell, Chinese spy accomplice, right? He was dating, having relations with a Chinese spy. That's amazing how he doesn't get bagged up or investigated or charged. You're telling me she didn't learn anything from him and then he'd get charged for espionage or treason? Yeah, right, bullshit. That guy's a bitch. I know he has loose lips. He gets a little something from her. He's definitely spilling the beans. So where's the charge on this guy? And then this guy gets the balls to come up here and then talk all types of nonsense about the future of ICE. Here we go, Eric. Let's play it.
Last time you talked to Kate Baldwin here, she was pressing you on if you wanted to abolish ICE. And you said you wanted to crush it. You didn't quite say abolish. Has that changed over the last week? What's your feeling on whether ICE should continue as an institution?
It's got to go.
So once again, this is probably about the 4th or 5th clip I've played of different Democrat Democratic reps on the show over the past month or so talking about what their plans for ICE is. So if you haven't picked up the intel yet, if you're not understanding it yet, they're going to abolish ICE. And if they're going to abolish ICE, they're going to bust open the borders. And then who's going to keep the American people safe from criminal illegal aliens? Nobody. Why? Because it's part of the design what they want to do, which is to bust and destroy the American way of life. Do away with white Christian males, do away with the belief that anyone can succeed here, and instead turn it into a strict communist-run state very similar to China. If you also listen to a lot of our representatives, they talk about China. They talk about China in more of a high regard than not, about how it functions as a society. That should tell you something. They never talk about the bad sides of China. They never talk about what happens to you in China if you dissent or if you're a minority. The Uyghurs, remember them? Right? Like, no one talks about that. That's the type of state they want to introduce here. And that's why they're so tightly aligned to communist China. It's willful ignorance, as well as the desire to accumulate as much money for myself as possible, all while selling out the American people. '26 America. There it is. So yeah. Share, like, stay informed. Keep an eye out. We'll have an episode coming out over the next couple of days, hopefully by the weekend, that we just did with B. We'll be airing that one. Topic on that episode, very interesting. Ray Dalio, take a look when it comes out. But yeah, that's America. So yeah, all this stuff's going on. Stay informed, stay aware. Share your stories with your friends. Keep spreading the information. That's how we fight. That's how we keep the train moving. You can't give in to these guys. You can't give them an inch. If you see something, you got to address it. You got to call it out. Go to a school board meeting. Okay, do a little research. Take a look who's sitting on your school boards. Take a look who's sitting on your city councils. See what they're doing. See where the money's coming from. Right? Don't bury your head in the sand. Don't give up. You got to keep fighting for America, because the other side doesn't stop, and they're looking to destroy it. So once we stop fighting for America, they'll just continuously take us over, either through indoctrination, through exploitation of our immigration system, anything and every which way to tear apart the fabric of our American society. We have to keep that alive. We have to remember what America is, and we have to bring the greatness back to America. And with that, I'm going to pray us out. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity to sit in the chair today and talk to our loyal fans and our loyal viewers, sharing the knowledge with them. Dear Lord, please look over Joe as his schedule is extensively busy, as he's traveling and keeping up with engagements and doing community projects. Please, Lord, keep him safe as he travels. Give him the wisdom to connect with people and open up their eyes and minds to a better future here in America. Dear Lord, thank you for my family. Thank you for a beautiful, warm day out here in Colorado. Thank you for water to drink today. I'm trying that, Tommy. Thank you. Just keeping it simple on that one. Thank you for my loving family. Thank you for the incredible team I have here at Untamed. And thank you for the opportunity, once again, for joining this team. Something I never thought would be possible became a reality, which I know you specialize in, Lord. Hey, Grandma, Grandpa, Dad, thank you guys for watching over us. Love you guys as well. Miss you guys every day. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. All right, everyone, that's the show for today. Joe will be here tomorrow, special guest. Until then, everyone, class dismissed.
Rising from the fight for the forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Kuma's life. corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Argentina Peters break the chains that bind her tight. Hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night. Restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. It's our rally call. Truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Help the single moms, bring back trade school strong. Opportunity for youth, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam. Reclaim our stolen land, bring the power home. Eric Coomer's fraud dominions, rig design, expose the stolen votes, cross a dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed. For the have-nots rising, truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the bloated state, let the people have the say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call. Truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Whoa, 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 whoa. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Governor Oltmann, freedom forever, Colorado rise. Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann. Rise up untamed, in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the nights. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Tame nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the